If you're coming here for a clean, simple story about a bunch of guys in wigs signing a paper, well, this isn't that.
No, not at all. The reality, when you actually dig into the sources, the timelines from the Library of Congress, the National Park Service records, it's anything but clean.
It's messy, it's chaotic, and honestly, it feels like a total miracle it even worked. We're talking about a loose collection of colonies with no real army, no central government, no money.
And they decided to take on the world's greatest military superpower.
It's the ultimate David versus Goliath story.
If you'd asked one of them, he would have said he was fighting for his rights as an Englishman. They saw themselves as loyal subjects whose rights were being trampled by a corrupt parliament, not a tyrannical king.
They still had faith in the king. They thought he'd step in and fix it.
That was the hope. They weren't thinking about a United States. They are desperately low on gunpowder. This is where we get that legendary command, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes.
I always thought that was just a line about being brave.
It was pure practical necessity. Their muskets were so inaccurate, firing from a distance was just a waste of powder. They had to let this professional army get terrifyingly close, maybe 50 yards, to make every single shot count. Secured the region for the Patriots.
And then, just a few months later, in June of '76, another huge Southern victory, the defense of Charleston.
This is a fantastic story. The British sent a huge fleet to capture Charleston, South Carolina, which was one of the wealthiest cities in America. They focused their attack on a small, unfinished fort on Sullivan's Island.
A fort made of sand and logs.
Sand and palmetto logs. The British admiral was confident his warships would blow it to splinters in half an hour.
But he didn't count on the palmetto logs.
He had no idea. The wood of the palmetto tree is not brittle, it's soft and spongy. So when the British cannonballs hit the fort, they didn't shatter the walls, they just sort of thudded into the logs and got stuck.
Like shooting a cannon at a sponge cake.
Exactly. The fort just absorbed the punishment all day. Meanwhile, the American cannons were doing serious damage to the British warships, which were also struggling in the harbor's tricky currents. The fleet eventually had to retreat in humiliation.
And that victory bought the South years of security.
And these wins at Moores Creek and Charleston were hugely important. They built confidence. They gave the Continental Congress in Philadelphia the political breathing room they needed to take the next monumental step. For me, it's the sheer contingency of it all, the fragility. We look back and draw these clean lines, but it could have gone the other way at a dozen different moments.
If the fog doesn't roll in at Brooklyn.
If Washington doesn't risk everything on that Christmas crossing. If Howe had just followed his orders and marched north to meet Burgoyne, any one of those things changes, and the United States likely doesn't exist. It becomes a failed footnote in the history of the British Empire.